Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to the Red Mist podcast with me, Seshadri, and welcome to the preview for the Premier League match between Fulham and Liverpool. Yes, we are travelling to London to Craven Cottage, and we are going to take on the winners of the Championship playoff, which is what got Fulham into the Premier League. And to be fair, I'm never going to forgive Brentford for that because Brentford honestly played a lot better in that game. I remember watching the Championship playoff final between Fulham and Brentford honestly played a much better game. I can never forgive, and honestly they had a much better season than Fulham did, and I mean a lot of us who sort of predicted the game predicted a Brentford win, and it was very, very surprising. And the way they conceded as well, Joe Bryan obviously got both the goals, and the way they conceded the goals, I think one of them was a direct free kick that was miles out and just caught the keeper out completely, and it was just embarrassing for Brentford, honestly. But both sides have moved on. Fulham's now in the Premier League, not doing well at this stage of the season, I can't lie. And on paper this looks like a very, very easy fixture for us. So we've got obviously we're traveling to Craven Cottage, and started with a little bit of a digression talking about the Championship playoff final, so another one's not going to hurt. But fun fact is, I hate Fulham because of my experience playing against them on Football Manager. And this is way back. This goes way back. And I'm sure anyone who's played Football Manager has this. There's always that one opponent who annoys the living hell out of you. And there's always that one opponent that you just cannot beat. Right now I'm playing with, I'm managing RB Leipzig in the Bundesliga in Football Manager 20. I don't have 21 yet. But on Football Manager 20, I am managing RB Leipzig, and I'm into my third season with RB Leipzig, and the one team that always frustrates me, and I know every time I come up against them, I'm going to either lose the game or draw the game, is Freiburg. And it's it's not an expected opponent. We do well, in my Football Manager save, we do well against teams like Bayern Munich, for example, or Borussia Dortmund. But I mean, yes, you lose the occasional game, but generally it's kind of an even affair. But for Freiburg, I don't know what happens, and I just keep losing. I've played them 5 times over 2 seasons so far, and I've lost 4 games and drawn 1, and I just don't know how, because we dominate the games, but we just... Anyway, so Fulham was one such opponent for me long back, and I'm talking, Football Manager 11 or 12, so it's a good 10 years back at this point. But I remember at the time I used to manage Birmingham City, and I was trying to build Birmingham City up into this really good team in the Premier League, and Fulham was the one team I hated. I hated travelling to Craven Cottage. I hated playing them at home at St Andrews, and it just wasn't a good experience playing Fulham. So I've always hated Fulham from that time, and and plus Fulham have obviously given us Roy Hodgson as a Liverpool manager. He joined from Fulham, and we all know how that spell went. But yeah, those were the dark days for Liverpool under Roy Hodgson, and when Fulham was considered an equal in the Premier League table as opposed to a team that we should be beating comfortably. But fast forward 10 years, Liverpool are the defending Premier League champions going into a game against Fulham, and it all is in our favour. But hopefully we can come out with 3 points. The Premier League, nothing's a guarantee. But history is on our side. The last 14 Premier League home games that Fulham have faced Liverpool in, 5 were won by Fulham and 9 were won by Liverpool. So there have been no draws. And the last 6 have been won by Liverpool with an aggregate score of 18-4. So, yeah, the last 6 Premier League meetings, not just, Premier League home games, but the last 6 Premier League meetings between Liverpool and Fulham ended 18-4 in Liverpool's favour. So, yeah, I mean, good omens going into this game. At least, as far as history and records and all this stuff is concerned. But not so good omens when it comes to injuries. Kostas, Tsimikas and Diogo Jota both suffered knocks in the game against Midtjylland, and they must be assessed prior to the match at Craven Cottage is the official line. But unofficially, I don't quite have word on Tsimikas just yet, but Diogo Jota, it is rumoured that he has a knee injury and could be out from anywhere between 6 weeks to the entire season. So, I mean, where do I even start? Why? I rallied against Jurgen Klopp in the last episode, or the episode before that. The last one was an American soccer special with Alberto Brown. So if you guys haven't checked that episode out, do check it out. But I rallied against Klopp a couple of episodes ago during my raw reactions from the Midtjylland game for the lineup selections and stuff like that. And it's been proven right. Like, this was a game where you didn't need to risk your starters. Why would you risk Diogo Jota? And I get the argument, Jota didn't play the game before. He was rested and he needed a game, just to keep up his momentum, keep up his rhythm and stuff like that. But why play this guy 87 minutes? Jota played 87 minutes before being taken off. I mean, why play him 87 minutes? I wouldn't have minded if Jota came off the bench, played 15, 20 minutes and got this injury. Like, these things happen. Football's a contact sport, obviously. So these things happen. But at least in your lineup selection, so show some amount of logic and common sense. That's just my thing. And that's just my point against what happened in the Midtjylland game. I mean, it is what it is. I think the good news, though, is the fact that Alisson is back in training. So, and we have seen pictures that at least I've seen pictures that Alisson is back in training. So he could probably play the Fulham game. If all is fine, he should be playing. And I think most likely we should be playing with Alisson in goal, which is a good thing because we do have Tottenham in about 3 or 4 days. So we play Tottenham on Wednesday, if I'm not wrong. So obviously having Alisson back is a big boost. He gets a good 90 minutes against Fulham before going on to Tottenham. You don't want to throw a keeper straight into a big game like that. So yeah, I mean, I am happy for that. Naby Keita is also back and fit, and he played a little bit in the Midtjylland game. He could make his 50th Premier League appearance for Liverpool this weekend if he plays against Fulham. So big occasion there for Naby Keita. Hopefully he can make an impact. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, before the Midtjylland game, I said he's fit, but he's not fit for the Midtjylland game. But he is in normal training. He's now in full training, and he could potentially be involved. I don't obviously see him being involved right from the start, but I do think he will. If he's fit, I think he will get 10 or 15 minutes towards the end just to build back some match fitness and to give some of the main guys a little bit of a rest. So I do see him being back in the team, at least, if not anything else. As far as other people go, Thiago Alcantara, there is obviously, I don't think he is going to play. He's definitely not going to be playing. James Milner is also absent, and Xherdan Shaqiri is also absent as well. Thiago Alcantara, it's rumored that he will be out all the way until January. So, I mean, obviously, this news is not coming from official Liverpool sources. I should probably warn you about that, but it's coming from people who are respected journalists and who know quite a lot about Liverpool, like Paul Joyce, for example. So, yeah, I mean, Thiago's injury, I can't really blame anyone else. It's just Richarlison. Unnecessary tackle got him, and it's disappointing. Richarlison got a red card for that, obviously, and he's served his punishment and things like that. So, look, these things happen, I guess. But you know what? I don't want to go on again about the Midtjylland game, but I just genuinely feel like Klopp got it wrong. And I know there's a lot of people saying that, Klopp knows what he's doing. He's got the medical staff advising him. He's got, Tommy from Twitter is not going to have better advice than Klopp's medical squad and things like that. And I get that. Look, I get that. I'm not saying, like, my logic is not that. My logic is the Midtjylland game was a dead rubber. It's a game where nothing's at stake, There's not even an insignificant record is at stake, If it won, we'd have finished on 15 points. It's not even the full 18 points for you to say, okay, there's a potential, 6 out of 6 there. Like, even that wouldn't matter anyway, even if it was. But at least that's an insignificant record. And even that wasn't there. So I just don't understand the lineup selection from Jurgen. Look, I love Jurgen Klopp. If there's one Liverpool fan who says he doesn't love Jurgen Klopp, he's lying. Or he or she is lying. But it doesn't excuse the fact that you've won the Premier League and you've given us a really good time these last 4 or 5 years. It doesn't excuse the fact that you got this wrong. And there have been times where Jurgen's been wrong. It's not, he's when he loses or when he makes a mistake, he's not good at accepting the fact that he's made a mistake or that he's lost. I mean, I've lived through kind of him making excuses like the grass was too long, there was wind, and there was this and there was that, and I've slated him for it on forums. I remember one particular game, I think we drew that game, and he said the wind was too much or something. And I said, look, if you didn't want wind, you should be bloody managing in Dubai or something, not England. Like England's gonna have wind pretty much 9 months out of 12, and the other 3 months there's like a light breeze at best. So you're always going to deal with wind. So I mean, look, he's just a bad loser, which I guess is a good quality to have, but also does hamper him at times. And he's made a mistake, and I know there's a lot of Liverpool fans who support what he did in the Midtjylland game. I'm personally not one of them, but it is what it is. I've obviously ranted about that in the previous in the Raw Reactions episode for the Midtjylland game, but yeah. Look, I'm not going to go on about that, but I honestly hope Alisson does come in goal. He's fit. I think that's what I was talking about. I think I was talking about Alisson before I got onto this. I only hope Diogo Jota's injury is not too much. It's not too serious. Maybe, hopefully, all these are just rumours, and about him being out for 6 weeks, and so on and so forth. I just hope they're just rumours, because he is a key player, and we need him. We need him. I think it's plain and simple, especially through December and January. We need him. He's been amazing in form, and frankly speaking, Minamino and Origi are not on the same level. But it is what it is. Speaking of the lineups, I do think, let's start with Liverpool's lineup. I'm just going to go ahead and do that before I get on to what what Scott Parker had said for Fulham and their sort of injury stuff. What I'm going to say is Liverpool will line up with Alisson in goal. I'm going to say Trent starts again. Fabinho and Matip at centre back, so that's going to remain unchanged. At left back, now that's another thing, right? So they released photos of Liverpool's training session, and Robertson was not spotted in it. Now, I don't think he's injured, but if he is, that's a problem because Tsimikas is injured as well, and Milner is injured as well. So there's 3 left backs. If first, second, and third choice left backs are injured, which is not a good thing. So I think Robertson still starts. I think he's just being rested because he's played a lot of games and maybe he just had the training session off. But yeah, I think personally he still starts. So I think Robertson comes back into the lineup again. In midfield, I think we'll go with Henderson, Wijnaldum, and Curtis Jones. I think Curtis makes a start in the Premier League against Fulham. Up front, I think it's the boys, Mane, Salah, Firmino. I think they all start. But I think if we're leading comfortably, I would expect at least 1 or 2 of them to get off the pitch because we have a game against Tottenham coming up, and that's very, very important with the form that both sides are in. That's a top-of-the-table clash, literally. If both of us get 3 points, that's 1 versus 2. Tottenham is. So, yeah, I think personally, this is the lineup. The rest of them on the bench, Naby Keita, Minamino, Origi, Kelleher, all these guys will be on the bench, I think. Nico Williams as well. Maybe Nat Phillips. I don't know, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I mean, there's going to be 7 of them on the bench for sure. Moving on to Fulham, he says Scott Parker says there are no fresh fitness concerns for the hosts. Kenny Tete and Terence Kongolo, it's probably a bit too early for them, he says. They may not start. But yeah, I think it looks likely that they might stick with the same lineup that played against Manchester City, which was Areola, Ola Aina, Anderson, Adarabioyo, Robinson, Zambo, Anguissa, that is, Reed, that's R-E-E-D and R-E-I-D, Loftus-Cheek, Lookman, and Cavallero. So I think that's going to be the same lineup that plays against Liverpool pretty much. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. They lost to Manchester City 2-0. Fulham, it's unfortunate for them. I thought they played decently. I mean, as decently as one would against Manchester City when you're the club the size of Fulham and when there's a talent gulf as much as that. So I think personally, I thought they played okay. I mean, yes, City were good, but I thought they played okay. Right now, Fulham sits 17th, having played 1 more game than Burnley, who've played 10, but have Fulham have 7 points, Burnley have 6. So if Burnley win if Burnley win their next game, they leapfrog Fulham if they win that game in hand. Otherwise, I think Fulham stay up because they do have a better goal difference than Burnley. So Fulham are 17th, right just above relegation zone, which I think is a pretty good achievement, to be honest, because Fulham I thought would really, really struggle. I didn't think I still don't think they have what it takes to stay up. I honestly had them, dead last, but that place pretty much is reserved for Sheffield United at this point. They can't seem to pay their way to a win. It is what it is. They are only 3 points behind Brighton, so a win could, push them up. But I don't honestly see them coming out with a win this game. Liverpool, obviously, second in the table with 24 points, level on points with Tottenham, just behind on goal difference. Tottenham go on to play Crystal Palace this game away from home, so it's a little bit of a London derby there for the Spurs. But if Tottenham come out with 3 points and Liverpool come out with 3 points, that's going to be a top-of-the-table clash, like I said before. So, yeah, pretty exciting times here for both Spurs fans and Liverpool fans. And, it doesn't look like a bad fixture to have right before a Tottenham game because, if you do get look, on paper, I know football's not played on paper, but obviously if you do get a pretty decent win or a pretty decent lead, you can actually rest a few players. Now, obviously, the Premier League doesn't have the 5 subs rule, which I think is a travesty. But we could potentially rest a couple of the boys, maybe Henderson gets a rest. I don't know. It's up to Jurgen Klopp and the medical team to decide who gets a rest. But maybe sometimes, that having a game like Fulham, or having a game like Fulham or a bottom place team, just before you play a top team is kind of good because it does, give you a chance to sort of relax, especially during the December-January run-in, when the games are coming thick and fast. But yeah, Spurs have a little bit of a tougher ask, I think. Crystal Palace away from home would not be easy. But you know what? It is what it is. That's the fixture list. And I know I've been focusing a little bit more on Tottenham towards the end of this episode, but, they are the leaders right now and they are the ones we're trying to catch. So let's see how it goes, but let's not think about Tottenham right now. We've got to focus on Fulham, do the job at Craven Cottage, and then get on to Spurs. But yeah, that's pretty much it for my preview of Fulham FC. Do support the podcast, do follow the podcast, subscribe to it wherever you're getting this from, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple, wherever you guys are getting your podcasts from. It's available. Thank you for all the support on the podcast. We've recently crossed 1,000 listeners for each episode, so that is pretty insane to think about considering this is just 40 episodes old and just started this season. So like I said, pretty insane. Thank you for all the support. I will make sure that I have an email address next and a Twitter account, a functioning Twitter account and a functioning email address next season. But unfortunately, this season, we're just going to have to make do with what we have. But more on that, towards the end of the season, more on my plans for next year towards the end of the season. Let's not jump the gun right now. But that's pretty much it from me for today's preview episode, previewing the game against Fulham FC. I have finished recording this episode about 5 minutes before the start of the Manchester derby, so I am going to go watch that game. Obviously, it'd be nice to see Manchester United lose. So yeah, the Manchester derby followed by, of course, the Madrid derby as well, so it'll be nice to watch that. But that's pretty much it. Like I said, hopefully you guys are staying safe. Hopefully you guys are having a great day. I will see you guys tomorrow for raw reactions from the Fulham game. But until then, good night, goodbye, and I'll see you guys next time.